This podcast is brought to you by iDemon Studios, where art is made. Hello, D. McClung, Archer Monologue. This is episode 26B. 26B. That means it's the second in a series of topical, or what's the word? Important topics. And perhaps not so important to you. Don't care. Important to me. So I'm going to talk about some things. This time, this episode is going to be about, let me look at my list. Let me pick one. All right, how about this one? The phrase, cunt, puke. All right, let me explain a little bit about how I came up with that word and what it means, or phrase. Cunt, puke. Now, I think cunts are pretty cool. That's another word for vagina. And that's not a bad thing. I don't think cunt is a bad word. I don't think it's a dirty word. I think it's a very good word. It describes a part of the female anatomy. A very wonderful thing. However, sometimes we like to call people a cunt because, what was it, the guy, comedian one time, is Jim Jeffries, was it? Jim Jeffries, I think, maybe. At the end of his show, he said, hey, try not to be a cunt. That was his advice for his audience on that particular show. And I think, yeah, try not to be a cunt. A good idea. All right? And so anyway, in that case, use the word cunt means, a bad person. Now, if you're calling a person a cunt, that's not the same thing as calling a body part that belongs to a female a cunt. That's the same word, spelled the same, means different. All right? Now, if you use the word cunt in a way that's derogatory, let's say, towards a person, doesn't have to be a female, could be a male. In fact, I like to call, when I use the word cunt and I call someone a cunt, which, by the way, can get you kicked off of Facebook, apparently, because somebody I thought was qualified to be called a cunt, and then I called them that. And bam, got myself blocked off of Facebook for about 30 days, which I have about 6-7 days left to go, which is fine because I got other accounts. It's no big deal. And the Messenger, which I made a big fuss about when they blocked my Messenger, which, really basically doesn't have anything to do with Facebook itself. Anyway, they said, okay, we'll let you use the Messenger. We won't block you on that because we realize it's a pandemic going on and you need to communicate with your family and friends and associates and so on. So we'll let you do that because we're nice guys. Yeah, right, Nazi bastards. Oh, if you want to talk about the use of the word cunt, I think I know somebody by the name of, I won't name him, but his name starts with Mark and ends with Zuck, something or other. Anyway, cunt. Back to this, he censors people and his gang of administrators or whatever they call them, they're cunts. And they're not nice people, and I'm sorry. If they don't like that, that's too bad. So anyway, cunt. So if you're talking about, hey, I'd like to play with your cunt, some people might be a little bit put off by that. I guess a girl, if you were like, oh, you're sexy, and I'm gonna yum yum yum, and I'm gonna lick your cunt. Then she might be put off by that. It depends on different factors, but let's say she might say, well, good for you, boy, go at it. And I've licked a few cunts in my life. However, um, that's the good sense of the word or usage of the word cunt. The bad sense of the word is like that guy I mentioned, the name of Mark, the cunt. It's a bad sense. So words can be used in various ways. I'd hate to look up the word in dictionary.com, by the way, because those people are out of their freaking minds. Let's turn the English language into Babel. And dictionary.com is not the only one. The government, the redundancy going on here. The government does that. We're turning the English language into Babel. Such as let's make the word child mean something it doesn't ever mean ever and never does and still doesn't. But let's just turn the word child into Babel and make it mean nothing. All right. So the other part of that phrase, puke. Now, somebody might consider that to be offensive. They might consider, oh, really? Yeah. And somebody might consider that to be a little bit gross or whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, because if I'm going to call you, if I say, you're a cunt puke, I mean the most degrading thing I can say to you. I can't think of anything as degrading as that. Not that you're a pussy. That's the other use of the word cunt. But that you're just absolutely the lowest form of human life there is. And we could name some cunt pukes in the world, I suppose, but Hitler, George W. Bush, and so on. But anyway, mostly I reserve that to people I talk to on social media, Facebook and so forth, because, well, obviously I'm not going to be calling anybody a cunt on Facebook for a while. Or when I get reinstated, I'm assuming I will eventually in a few days, next week, I'm not going to call them that word because it's not worth getting kicked off. Now, a word about this Facebook thing. There are a lot of people, I quitting Facebook, I'm going to go over to Gab or Parler or someplace. And you know what? Good for you. I don't care. That's fine. That's your decision. Go for it. Do whatever you want. You've probably been blocked anyway or suspended or whatever. So, but anyway, if you're going to talk about Facebook and so what I'm saying is it's the phrase that I've come up with, and I can't say that I've invented it, but I don't know anybody else using it, and maybe it'll catch on and other people use it to describe other pukey cunts. Other people might decide to use the phrase to describe people that they find absolutely disgusting and gross and despicable and yuck, yuck. But at any rate, the word puke means, well, I'm not going to go to look up in a dictionary here, but it's puke, like ew, like maybe vomit. And I think that if I'm going to call someone a cunt puke, I'm actually suggesting that they are the vomit from a cunt. Now, any discharge coming out of a pussy or a vagina, if you want to be polite, is, you get what? You get menstrual flow comes out of there, blood. You've got urine comes out of there in that general vicinity. You've got various discharges for good or bad reasons over a period of time. I mean, if you're having sex with a girl and if you are a girl and you're having sex, and you have a nice little orgasm, and you just lose it. You come with some cum juices from the pussy. So hey, that's a good thing. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing if that kind of discharge is coming out of your mouth. Like vomit or puke. Don't puke in my face. And it's just it's not a good thing. It's just pretty disgusting. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want someone to, puke in my face if I was licking on their pussy. It would be gross. But if you're having an orgasm and you have some discharge, that's fine. That's not necessarily puke, is it? I'm having an orgasm and some juices are coming. All right, and some of these things, they go like a squirt when they have an orgasm and they're having sex. It's really fun and they're really getting off, and they pee a little bit. That's what it is. I'm sorry. I mean, that's what it is. That's my guess anyway. I might be wrong. I doubt it, but it could be. And I've seen girls do that, and it came out of her pee hole. I'm sorry, it did not come out of her vagina. Anyway, when I use the word puke with cunt, then it's yuck stuff. It's like, and I'm not demeaning nature in my description here, because the afterbirth, when a woman has a baby and the afterbirth comes out afterwards, it's pretty yucky. It's pukey. It's natural, and it's not necessarily, it is gross. It is kind of disgusting. But it's perfectly natural, and it happens. That's what happens when you have a baby. So I'm not denigrating the actual thing of this substance coming out of your vagina after you give birth. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's probably a good thing, considering what it is and why it's happening. But when I say that, it's not a baby, and it's certainly not, a chocolate milkshake. It's yucky stuff. So it happens. And so in that sense, it's the yuck that comes after the baby. The yucky part left over from the womb after you have that precious little life form coming out of your vagina. So I look at this phrase cunt puke as being a denigration of the person that I'm referring to, because it's the yuckiest thing that can come out of a vagina is probably that afterbirth. So that, and it's like I said, in a sense, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing in nature, and it's probably, I don't know, maybe there are people that even consider that a beautiful thing because it's functioning as nature would have it, and that's a good thing. Nature is wonderful. But sometimes you have yucky things. I mean, it's like taking a shit. Anybody who thinks diarrhea, that puke coming out of your asshole, is good or beautiful or delicious, I mean, I don't think so. It's crap. It's diarrhea. It's pukey. So I guess I could just say, butt puke. That doesn't quite live up to my expectations of what I want to say when I'm describing a bad, disgusting person. So just wanted to explain that. So if you have the opportunity to ever hear me call someone that and describe them as cunt puke, then now you know why, and you know what it means. I'm thinking they are the lowest form of human excrement. Look at it as cunt diarrhea. A waste. The afterbirth is waste. It's like You know, not a baby, and it's not a good thing. It's not a, oh look, I'm gonna keep the afterbirth and like put it in a diaper. No, it's just puke coming out of a vagina. Worthless, useless, disgusting, gross, in the psychological sense, not in a biological, natural. It's a perfectly normal thing to happen. So, and I don't know. I think shit, if you take a poop, you drop some, that's pretty yucky. Who wants to see that or touch it or eat it or even smell it or whatever? It's puke. Shit, I mean, excrement. And so I'm just referring to a person in a sense by using the word cunt with puke. I'm simply saying pretty much the lowest form of human excrement. Even, perhaps lower and more disgusting than shit. If I was to call you a cunt puke, then you better believe that I'm actually suggesting that you're even worse than shit. All right, so I've cleared that up, I hope. I hope you understand what I just said, and I hope you understand that I'm not being derogatory towards women or their vaginas or considering that, the afterbirth is some sort of bad, evil, disgusting thing in the physical, scientific, biological sense. It's a wonderful thing to have that happen because it's part of the birth, part of having a baby, part of reproduction. So I'm not meaning to be derogatory towards the human function, the female functioning of giving birth and having afterbirth as a residual afterwards. That's it's still a part of the beauty and wonder of giving birth. All right. So that's my thing on the phrase "cunt puke." And if you hear me say it, let's just hope it's not you I'm talking to. Let's hope that it's not you that I'm referring to, and hope that I don't have to say it to you, because if you piss me off, that's probably what I'm going to think. I'm going to think you're the lowest form of human excrement. And it's a little bit more pungent, let's say, than to say that you're like, like ass turds. You see? A little bit more impact, I think. So anyway, that's that. And so I think we'll leave it at that. And you can take it from there. All right. I think we can get another topic in here before I mute my timeline. Hold on, let me take a look at my notes and see what I can come up with that might be interesting to follow that with. What can I follow that with? What can I follow with that? No, you know what I'm saying. What can I follow up with after that? Yeah, okay, hold on a second. I'll take my notes. All right, let's talk about consumerism for a minute. Well, let's not. I'm going to. It's a monologue. So anyway, you know what a monologue is. It's where I talk and you don't. Excuse me. And so, consumerism. Now, there are people that, consumerism is bad. It's very bad. People they care more about things and they care about life and decency and whatever the fuck. Okay, so let me be clear on this. Consumerism goes with capitalism. Capitalism goes with having a, healthy economy. If you don't have consumerism in some sense, that people do not consume stuff, just look at it, all right? I'm going to consume food and therefore not starve to death. I'm going to consume water so I don't shrivel up and die. I'm going to buy stuff I need and want because that's what life is, adds joy to life aside from, survival. I mean, if you don't engage in consumerism, you don't live. For example, you don't buy groceries, that's consuming. If you don't buy groceries and eat it, you starve to death. If you don't buy stuff, then nobody's going to be selling the stuff that you're supposed to be buying. I say supposed to be. I mean, that's a metaphor. That's just figure of speech. You don't have to. But people make stuff for people to buy because people need stuff and they want stuff. I mean, what do you need? You need food, clothing, shelter, water, transportation. In this day and age, you need some entertainment because without it, your life is just shit. All right. You need air. Sometimes people need oxygen in a bottle. Seriously. If you got COPD really bad, you might need some oxygen in a container, or, in a freaking mask over your nose so you can breathe and stay alive. So that's called consuming oxygen that you buy. I mean, you can go outside in the yard and breathe all the air you want, but that's not the same thing as some guy who needs oxygen in a tank in order to live. Because without it, he won't be able to breathe on his own. He will die. So, air comes under that heading of necessity, and you have to buy it sometimes. Not always. Usually you can just breathe in, breathe out. Wherever you are on the planet, you can get air. If your lungs are healthy and you can, function on a normal basis in that sense. So, yeah, we need stuff. We need people to make stuff and grow stuff. We need clothes made. We need food grown. We need trucks to distribute it to the grocery stores. We need a car or whatever to get down to the grocery store. We need some money. Consuming money. Think about that. Well, sometimes people consume money. I don't mean like eat it. I mean they collect it. They gather it. They get it together. In some cases, it's called a paycheck. In other cases, it's called, a return on my investment, if I am talking about myself. Invest a little money in something, get a return. Call it interest. So you go to the bank, invest your money in a savings account. Bam, you get interest. Not today, but, used to be. And maybe in the future, you can actually get a decent percentage on interest. What is it now? It's like 0.22% or something like that. It's terrible. 0.2%. 0.22%. Not even a penny. So, you get interest. You get stocks and bonds. A lot of people buy stocks and bonds. That's an investment. There's U.S. savings bonds. I assume they still do that. Put some money in some place, and it gives you interest or dividends, or it increases in value by the simple fact that you've invested in something that can bring money if it is sold. Like, I'm going to invest in some materials and perhaps some equipment and maybe even some labor to produce an item which I am going to offer to the public to buy. And buying and selling is consumerism, isn't it? I know you think it means something ugly, and it's not. If you're addicted to spending all your money before payday comes around again, and you haven't paid the rent, that's probably it's not a good thing. I'm going to consume a lot of alcohol and not buy groceries for the kids. Well, in that sense, consumerism is not a good thing, is it? But does that have to do with consumerism? Or does that have to do with a bad person not doing his responsibility? not living up to his parental responsibilities, not living up to his human decency responsibilities. That's not a whole category of things. You can lump everybody in. Everybody consumes food, clothes. You need them. I mean, unless you're like allowed not to wear clothes somewhere. And that's a subject for another thing with the nudism and the nudists and naturalists and whatever. We'll talk about that later. But by the way, I've got an interesting thing to say about that too. Yes. So consumerism is a good thing. Irresponsible consuming is not a good thing. So that's an individual choice, and it's an individual situation. And if you are going to, consume too much alcohol and get cirrhosis of the liver and freaking die, then it's not a good thing. But it's not consumerism, it's consumption. You're consuming too much alcohol for your own good. Your choice, but you're an idiot. All right. So, consumerism, good thing. Keeps the economy going. People make stuff, people grow stuff, people buy stuff and sell stuff. They have it, they keep it, they give it away, whatever. Moves things along. It's the way it's supposed to work. I'm not going to get into that socialism and Marxism and communism and all that other isms right now. That's beside the point. Talk about that later. Not today, some other day. All right, so here's the thing. I like things. There are some things I love. Oh, by the way, this thing about money is the root of all evil. Well, that's not true, is it? Nope, that's a misquote. I believe if you went back to the source of that quote, where did you think that source was? What kind of book? All right, it's the love of money is called greed. So money's not a bad thing. And just between you and me, people who go around and, money, 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 money. Guess what? I hate the rich people. I hate rich people. They should pay their fair share, blah, blah, blah. We should tax the rich like 100% or something. It's just lunacy. Just absolute fucking lunacy. All right? So, the thing is, that's ridiculous. Anyway, the point I'm making here is, I like things. And I make things. And I have things, and I buy things, and I make things. I did say that, didn't I? I make things because I like to make things. And when I've made the thing, I'd like to, sell it. Now, in my case, I don't have to sell it, but it would be nice. Otherwise, all this stuff I'm making just piles up around the house and around my shop and studio and office and whatever, and it's just collecting dust and nobody gets to appreciate it, just me. And I don't need to appreciate what I make forever. I would rather somebody that likes it and wants it and can afford it, buy it. And that keeps my economy going. I can pay my bills that way. I can buy more stuff that I need or want. I can add joy to my life by getting things that I like and want. For example, I make stuff. I need tools. I can buy tools if people buy my stuff. I can invest in buying tools in the speculation that somebody will buy the stuff I make with my tools. It's a good thing, and it works. It's a good system. I like it. Like I said, I'm not talking about socialism or Marxism or communism or any of that other ism stuff right now. Talk about that in another show. But the fact is, I like stuff. I make stuff. I want people to buy my stuff. Now, there are some things I make just for me. You could say I manufacture, let's say, Well, can't think of anything at the moment. Okay, let's say I make myself, I manufacture, let's say a back scratcher or a letter opener. Hell, everybody needs a letter opener. I make a letter opener, and I've got it, and I keep it, and I have it, and I like it, and it works. It does the job. I have a letter, open it with a letter opener. I hand carve these things by hand with a tool, which I bought and paid for, which, of course, made money for the seller and for the supplier and for the distributor and for the truck driver that brought that stuff to the store, etc., all the way back to the actual person who actually made the tool or the materials that I use. Except in the case of back scratchers, I usually get that material out of the woods behind my house because, I got trees and I can go out and chop off a little limb and start whittling on it and make a back scratcher or a letter opener. Duh. Or various other things. Calendars, for example. I make calendars. And canes, walking sticks. I make canes. I've got quite a few canes I've made by hand with tools that I bought and paid for by somebody giving me money as a result of me doing something or selling them something, giving them a product or a service that they paid me for, and then they're happy because they got what I had and what I made. And by the way, no sales tax on that because guess what? It's a right to make stuff and sell it to people. It's my stuff. I can do what I want with it. It's called freedom. So I like stuff and I buy stuff. I make stuff. I sell stuff. And occasionally I'll give something to somebody and makes them happy because they wanted it and they have it and they didn't have to pay for it. Because why? Because it was like a Christmas gift or something, a birthday present. Like, here, it's your birthday. Here, have a back scratcher. They didn't have to pay me for it. They could say thank you, or they could say I appreciate it, or they could actually use it and say, that back scratcher is really nice. It really works. And I really enjoy it because I need it. Scratch my back sometimes. Or open a letter with my letter opener. Or in the case of books, I've got 12 published books, by the way. 12 books published. And I'm very proud of that. I've accomplished that. Did that. Because I want to sell those books to make money so I can pay my electric bill. Which is outrageous, by the way. Extremely outrageous. Anyway, that's a good idea. I make paintings. Buy my paintings. Now, if I can't actually sell my paintings outright, like every time I do a painting, I've got a bunch of paintings here I've been collecting over the years that I painted, and, no one's bought them. Some people have time in the past, and actually in the present, people do buy my paintings, drawings, and prints, and so forth, from time to time, and gets me some money. It's a good thing. It's called capitalism, it's called free enterprise, it's called, I have a right to do that, by the way, and I don't need a license because I'm not a corporation. You get a license, that makes you a corporation. That's another story for another time as well. But the fact of the matter is, buying and selling stuff is good. All right? I like stuff. I like things. I make things. I like things that other people buy and make and manufacture and create. And, like the other day, I said, I need a pair of boots. I don't have a pair of boots. I used to have a pair of boots, but they wore out because, they were like 30 years old. I need some new ones. All right, I'm going to go online. I'm not going down to the Walmart because, first place, I doubt if they have what I want in the store. I've checked around, man, they just don't have what I want. But go to Walmart online, bam, there they got some boots. Or Amazon, or, some mom and pop store that has a place online. If they have it, fine, I've actually bought boots off of mom and pop stores that happen to be online selling their stuff, which is a big deal. I'm online, I sell my stuff online. Yeah. And that's a good thing. Couldn't do that 30, 40 years ago. Pretty much had to take my stuff and take it someplace where people could see it and say, here, look, I've got books and paintings and drawings. Well, not books back then, but I have paintings and drawings and sculptures and wood things and, oh, mountain craft toys. I used to make a lot of those for the tourist stations around the state parks and so forth, and made some money selling mountain toys, which are, no batteries included because they were run off of people power. All right, so the thing is, buying and making and selling things is a human right. You have a right to make what you want. If you're capable, if you have the tools, if you have the materials, raw materials, you can make stuff, whatever it is. In some cases, you can make, let's say, a car, and you sell the car to people that want a car or need a car. And hopefully you sell it to them at a reasonable price, not $50,000 for a freaking car. Sorry, it's ridiculous. But they do it. And maybe because they're selling their workers in their factories about $60 an hour or something. Yeah, well, we won't talk about that. Why? Well, it's not important at this point. I'm not talking about that now. So I'm just mentioning it. It's just in passing. All right. So forget this crap about, consumerism is bad, because it's not. It's a good idea. Capitalism, entrepreneurship, business, not be a corporation if you can help it. Please don't be a corporation. Don't get a business license to sell your stuff, not somebody else's stuff. I mean, if you're like, you got a little mom and pop store and you've got some bread and some milk and some candy bars and shit, or artworks or whatever, it's yours. You own it. It's your stuff. You can sell it to whoever, whatever. I got to have permission from the state. No, you don't. That's because it's a free country, and free people don't need permission to engage in the right to sell their stuff. If you did a little research on that, you could probably figure that out yourself. I'm just saying, I've done it, the research, and I know that, little logical calculation here in my head, because I can do critical thinking, and I come up with, this is mine, I'm going to sell it to somebody. Oh, there's a guy. You want to buy this? Yeah, okay. It'll be, $100. And they say, okay, here's your dollars. And they give me the dollars, and I give them this thing, and they're happy, and they go away. That's the way it works. But I need the government permission to engage in a right. I have a right to engage in business. I have a right to sell my stuff. I have a right to make the stuff. Seriously. Now, I'm not talking about Walmart. That's a corporation. But if I had the means to make a large store the size of Walmart, the local one, oh, you got to have a license. I say, hey, screw you. No, I don't. And I'm not going to get one. Now, let's be clear here. I'm in over 70 years old here at this point, and I was in business, and I also engaged in the kind of business that people would come to me and say, you got to have a state license. You got to have a city license. You got to have a contractor's license. You got to get all these licenses. And I did, because at that point, I didn't realize what I was doing. And I didn't realize that I could say no. Now, of course, when you're in a city and they say, well, you got to have a license to be in a city, to be a contractor, blah, blah, blah. I know people that don't have a contractor's license, and they do contracting every day. And they work and they make money. Yeah. And that's the way it goes. So, you don't need a license. You don't need it. I mean, they might say you need it. They might make you get one or something like that. But, resist, I think, is the best route. Because I have a right to exercise I have a right to sell my stuff. I do. And a right is not taxable and not licensable in this country because, free enterprise, freedom. All right, that's it for now. That's a couple of topics covered, or three. And I'll catch you next time with episode 27C in a little while. Next day, tomorrow, next week, probably tomorrow. All right, thanks a lot for listening. Please do me this favor. Please pass this on. Give it to other people. Share it with other folks, your friends, your neighbors, your family, or even people you don't know. Put it on Facebook, whatever. Because I'd like people to know what I know. I would like people to hear what I have to say. I think it would be good for them. I think it would help them make their lives better, make it happier, make themselves happier, give them a little joy to their lives, and tell them something that maybe they don't know. How many people knew that the marriage program, for example, was just a program, a government program that has nothing to do with marriage? How would you know that? Who was going to tell you? I told you. And Dave Champion at one time told people that. I don't think he's telling them that anymore for some reason. I don't know why. But he wrote a very good article about that. Explained all about this marriage and legalities and shit. So, how would you know that stuff? How would you know that, for example, that I'm not a conspiracy theory nutter? I'm not a conspiracy theory nut. Okay? Now, I don't have much time, so I'm going to just say this real quick. I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because most of what I talk about and think about and engage in here in expressing my thoughts on these things, various situations and such subjects, is that it's from calculated logical conclusions and critical analytic observations, critical thinking, logic, not emotions, not opinions, not some crazy outlandish bullshit like, Trump won the election kind of shit. That's just nuts. And, Pizzagate, not Pizzagate, is it Pizzagate? Pedogate, whatever the fuck. That's just insane. It's just not true. There was fraud. Yeah, well, maybe like 27 cases in the whole country. Whoopee whoopee. Not mass fraud. Just get real, people. Let's try to be sane. I could talk about Gab. I could talk about QAnon. Those nutters. I mean, wonk wonk nutters. I'm not one of those. If I have a theory about something and I think there's a conspiracy going on, I can tell you that without, making up shit and going all hysterical. I'm not brainwashed. I'm not indoctrinated. I'm not going to be manipulated by these stupid people. So anyway, I'm not a theory. I do have a theory. And sometimes there's a conspiracy involved. But I try to rationalize through it and come to some logical, rational conclusion. Like, where's the evidence that an airplane crashed in the Pentagon? I've never seen the evidence. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just saying I've never seen the evidence. Why don't they show me the evidence? All right? So, okay, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Pass it along. Bye for now.